Hello, and welcome to Greek the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and it's a delight to have you here with us. And today's topic is on the need to belong. And the need to belong. And even though we may think we don't need to belong, we really do. We needs. We all have needs, and we have all kinds of needs. And it's okay to have our needs met. As a matter of fact, that's one of our it's one of our human rights is to have needs and to have them met. So Dr. William Glasser has identified 5 genetic things that literally drive our basic needs. And one, for anyone that is watching this that is not familiar with Dr. Glasser and reality therapy and choice theory, we have this need to survive. And in that survival, it's the need to be safe and secure. We have a need for love and belonging. And that love and belonging, everything's a two-way street. And because it's a two-way street, love and belonging equates to sharing and cooperation so that we can get along. We also have a need to have fun, to enjoy, to play, to laugh, just to enjoy. We have a need for freedom, to be self-autonomous, to make our own choices. And we have a need for power. And that power is to do all of the above things, as well as to have accomplishments and to be productive in whatever it is that we do. And so in looking, with this being the Valentine month and the love month and all of that I thought we would look at the need to belong. It's not just a want. We can have a lot of wants, but then when we have those needs, and those needs are dire. And so thanks to Merriam-Webster, we're going to look at what does it mean to need. Need is to have a situation in which someone or something must do or must have something. It is, again, it goes beyond a want. A need is something a person must have. It is a requirement. It is a strong feeling that you must have or do something. Sometimes we get those strong feelings mixed up, though. It is a necessary duty. A need is an obligation. A need is a lack of something needed that is satisfying or useful. When we have a need, it's because there's a lack there. And then need also means a lack of subsistence, as in to the deprivation of poverty. But then also we're looking today at the need, the dire need to belong. What does it mean to belong? To belong is to be suited, appropriate, or advantageous. It is to have a proper situation. To belong is to be property of a person or a thing. Now, we're talking about property of a thing, as in that's my book, that's my keys to my car. But we're not property of a person unless it is looking at the fact of I belong to this family. It is a belonging to, and having the same name of, and maybe the same genes of, and the same likes and dislikes, but not being owned by. It is to be bound by birth through allegiance or dependency, to belong to something. To belong is to be an attributed, a part, an adjunct, a function, to be a vital part, and is to be properly classified, to maybe have a pen or something that identifies the fact that you do belong. Well, Dr. William Glasser wrote a book was published in 1971, and it was called The Identity Society. And Dr. Glasser gave 3 contributing factors to the unrest. And I find that the thought in identity society has as much to do with today as it did back in 1971. And one is the fact that all too often we have this need to belong, but we don't belong because we're looking for roles over goals. Rather than looking at who we are, we want to be like someone, or we want to be a part of someone that maybe doesn't meet with our wisdom heart, or doesn't meet with our genuine talents and gifts of who we are. And then also was looking at the fact that there was such a power struggle to win, and sometimes winning at all cost. And then also that ongoing question that has been passed down through generation and generation is to who I am and do I matter? And we are people of infinite worth and value, and we do matter. And so also in looking at the identity society, it began to look at otherness, at two dimensions of diversity, and how both of those dimensions are very, very important to every human being on planet Earth. It ever has been or ever will be. And both dimensions, although they're very real, both dimensions are based on artificial barriers, or simply it's the difference between people. It's kind of so the primary identity are attributes that are genetically produced and generally cannot be changed, such as age, ethnicity, gender. Of course, that's being changed more and more these days. Fundamental physical attributes, such as height, eye color, skin tone. Those are genetically produced at the moment of conception, and they cannot be easily changed or not changed at all. And then the secondary importance of these things are those that can be changed, meaning that no matter what all of these genetically produced attributes of us as individuals and collectively human beings, that there are those things that we can change. We can get more education. We can change locations geographically. We can change our income. We can change marital status. There's just many, we can change jobs. There's so many things that we can change. But we need each other. C.K. Chesterton said, "We are all in this boat together on a stormy sea. As such, we owe each other a great loyalty, of being loyal to each other." And so knowing what to do, well, employ the connecting habits that we'll look at in a minute. Knowing how to do it. Well, always in the how to, we want to proceed kindly, thoughtfully, assertively. And then also belonging, because we need each other, belong from a position of strength. How can I add to this company, to this organization? How can I add to being a part of the populace of the millions of people on planet Earth from a position of strength, and to have the strength to carry through? Many times in the what to do and the how to do it, the strength thing is the deal breaker. But it's having the courage to speak up, and it's also having the courage to not speak up, and it's also having the courage to not speak up too aggressively. So it's looking at the caring habit. The ultimate question is what I'm doing, is what I'm thinking, is it helping or hurting? Is it drawing us closer together, or is it driving us further apart? And focus primarily on the caring habits, on the ones that will connect us to one another, to family members, to co-workers, to neighbors, to the things that we hear and see on social media. And then we can have more of a healthy connection by supporting, encouraging, listening to what someone has to say, whether we agree with it or not. Just having the courtesy to listen to, or to kind of understand, to be accepting of. As we can accept something, again, disagree or agree, once we accept something, we can move past it in a much more gentle way. Trusting, respecting, and always negotiating differences. as whenever we have a disagreement, we can talk it out and still value the person as a person of infinite worth and value. So I have 3 quotes directly from Dr. Glasser in the Identity Society. He said, "I have concluded that 2 human qualities are necessary to gain a successful identity: love and worth. First, one has to love and to be loved, to be involved with people whom one cares for and respects. Second, one must do a worthwhile task that increases his sense of self-worth and usually helps others to do the same." So Dr. Glasser is always working with people and with teaching reality therapy and choice theory, teaching counselors and psychiatrists and so forth. It's always to connect with and have a good, healthy belonging with one another, and then also do something that's worthwhile. Get busy, have a job. Here's another quote from Dr. Glasser. "A person who becomes secure enough to be unconcerned about the power of leaders and the need to work for survival can respond to his innate need for involvement and learn to relate to people in a non-power, humane way. He can do so to feel good, not to assure his place in the power struggle or the power structure." That is so powerful. As we can learn to be secure enough in who we are, and we do that by we can become secure in who we are by being comfortable with the feedback that is giving us and being okay with it and not ugly, hateful up front. But be secure enough to not be concerned about what other people say, what other people think, what other people do, to be concerned enough that we can actually help and belong and be a part of. And then another quote from Dr. Glasser in the Identity Society says, "Even people with considerable strength or power, when they look at their lives with candor, can usually see places where they settle for less. The simple statement we sometimes say out loud, or more often say to ourselves, 'The hell with it,' means we are settling for less because we don't have it in us now to struggle for more." So here's just a few insights into loving you and to belonging to who you are, and then also in loving others and allowing them to belong to who they are and to belong wherever they are, in what, again, family, work, neighbors, the world. So one is to know that you are a human being of infinite worth and value, the highest order on planet Earth. To know that you individually, you're more than a job. You're more than what? You're more than a job. You are enough. You're more than a grade. You're more than your experiences in life, good, bad, and indifferent. You are more than your genetic. You are more than your worst era. You are more than the product of your environment. You are more than the influencers, being the influence from your peers. You are more than the extension of something. You are more than the fulfillment of something. You are enough. Consider how life situations maybe got so out of balance. Stop and consider that. And how were you a part of it, knowing that the only thing you can correct is your thoughts, your actions, your attitudes. And in that considering how life situations got out of balance, detect a possible bitter spirit. Perception gives consistency to sight. And I put this little graphic on here. I just love this. I don't know where I got it from. But it is a world inside, and it's an eyeball with looking at the world. And it's knowing that we cannot see. There's so much to be seen that we cannot see. And as we can detect that we may have a bitter spirit toward life or people in general, or it gives us a perception, gives consistency to sight, so that we can begin to see, how am I seeing things askew? Or how have I mislabeled them? Or how have I been mislabeled? It also, insight into loving you, is to give yourself room to grow. We all make errors. We are the positive and the negative. We're the both and give yourself room to grow. Watch your self-talk and correct it as needed. Watch your self-thinking. And, I love what, I can't think of his name now. But anyway, I'll think of it before we go. But he says, John somebody, he says, whatever follows your I am statement comes looking for you. There's a lot of truth to that. Whenever we say, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, well, those things just kind of come looking for us, or we think they do, because we've admitted that that's our identity. So watch your self-talk and say, I made a mistake, but I'm not a mistake. I said something stupid, but I know better than that. So watch your self-talk and then correct it. Give yourself permission to realize that you are more than. And then improve your physical self where possible. Meaning that if you have a crooked tooth, then, and you would feel better about who you are to have it fixed, and go ahead, if it's possible, correct it. But just be healthy with yourself and treat yourself well. And then also continually self-evaluate. Self-evaluate, self-evaluate, self-evaluate. And it goes back to perception gives consistency to sight. So as we can continually self-evaluate that I am improving, that I am coming from a place of strength rather than a place of weakness, and that we can have the consistency to that, then that builds strength and it gives courage. So the need to belong, and we're just going to spell out love here, is limitless awareness. Notice, just notice. We can learn a lot about life just by noticing. Who do you love? What one? Can you love all? Can you begin to love someone that was pretty difficult to love, or at least have a kindness toward them? What do you love? Do you love praise? Do you love to be critical? Do you love being criticized? Can you dissolve that other boundary that may be hanging up there? What is your agenda? Can you quiet your mind? Be aware of how you can tune into the frequency of loving awareness. Embrace, appreciate, and let go of cultural conditionings. Because deep inside, we all bleed red, and we all have the same type of organs. We, just use thought regulators. Observe with compassion. Respond, resist reactivity. Be sensitive to emotions of yourself, positive and negative, in you as well as in others. Be sensitive to, not judgmental of, but sensitive to. Notice when your scales are getting out of balance, when things are just, when there's ready to throw up your hands and say, what's the use? At first, it may seem like you're regressing, but it is awakening to awareness. Value how complete you are and verbalize your appreciation. Opposites attract, opposites also complete. We need others, they need us. Value whatever comes to you as being from a teacher, as it's something that's teaching you something. Strength of the relationship is the strength of the will. Are you willing, or are you being willful? Part of the evaluation. And then E, embrace hardships or evaluate and see how we may need to reframe something. And to going back up to the definition of what does it mean to belong, it's to be suited appropriately. Think you can? Well, I think you can. Thank you for being here. and many blessings and good mental health.